A warm welcome to the participants. Thank you so much for joining us today over Jitsi and our YouTube channel. In order for us to hear the speakers clearly, it is a request to all the participants that please keep your microphones on mute. If any participant has any question or query, comment, please leave them in the chat box. Our speakers will try to address as many questions as possible. Welcome to another episode of the Leaders Talk series. This pandemic has definitely adversely affected nearly all sectors, including the hospitality sector. The focus of today's session is the learning curve from this pandemic, leadership in the hospitality sector in the difficult times. We have two very eminent personalities from the hospitality sector today, Mr. Sandip Mukherjee and Mr. Veer Vijay Singh. Thank you so much for joining us today. Give you a brief introduction of our speakers. Professor Mukherjee has been a distinguished hotelier. He has over 4 decades of experience, international and national. His work has taken him across various nations, include UK, US, Southeast Asia, Central Pacific, and routine hospitality-related travels to Australia, Africa, and China as well. He has served royalties of the world, managing the prestigious Hyderabad House at New Delhi, been GM for the hotels across various continents, put in work at the Taj Group of Hotels as Director of Operations, Palaces, and Luxury Hotels, been a faculty of the topmost hospitality schools of India. And of course, he is the Director of SNU IHM. He's very popular among students, and his focus is creating hospitality professionals of the future. Thank you so much, Mr. Mukherjee, that you're here today with us. Our other guest is obviously a very special person, Mr. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. We can hear you.
Yes. Another special person, Mr. Veer Vijay Singh. He has an experience of over 40 years in this field, and he's worked with the Taj Group of Hotels from the mid-70s. He started there as a career. He started his career as a trainee chef there, and from the mid-70s, that's a long time. He has spent his last 6 years launching and growing the Vivanta Taj brand as the chief operating officer. Under his guidance, Vivanta opened 17 new properties, making it an independent division of the Taj with over 40 hotels spread across 7 different countries. Through his leadership, Vivanta was declared the 3rd best hotel brand in the world of Condé Nast Traveler USA in its annual Business Travel Awards 2013. Mr. Singh's experience is based on a strong knowledge of hoteliering, which he has gained over the years through several key responsibilities. One of the first seminal role in his career was leading the F&B departments of the Taj properties in New Delhi, where he launched iconic signature restaurants like the Tea House of the August Moon and the Orient Express. Known for his strong leadership and strategist qualities, organizational handling, communication, and relationship building skills, he was responsible for vision making and strategizing for over 40 hotels as COO of Vivanta, where he was active in building Vivanta internationally relevant hotel brand. He's been honored with the Hall of Fame Lifetime Contribution in Hospitality Award organized by the Pacific Area Travel Writers Association at the ITB Berlin 2013. And also once honored with the Hall of Fame Award by the Hotelier India magazine in 2014. The list is endless. What we can say. Well, after his retirement from the Taj Group, he felt the need and desire to continue his passion towards hoteliering, and hence formed a hotel operating and management company under the brand name of Trance International Hotel and Resorts Private Limited, and also has a hotel consulting company called VVS Hospitality Consultants. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh, for being here with us today. It's really an honor.
Thank you so much.
Before we
My
start
pleasure.
the session, thank you, sir. Before we start the session, I would ask Ms. Ina Bose, Director HR of Sister Nivedita University, to please speak a few words. Ma'am.
Thank you, Indila. Mr. Veer Vijay Singh, my heartiest welcome to you to this webinar session, and probably this is the first time that we are interacting from Sister Nivedita University with you. This is fairly a new university, just 2 years old. We are stepping on to the third year, and under the leadership, under the guidance of Mr. Sandip Mukherjee, the Director of Hospitality Management, we are trying to build the hospitality segment of our we've got around 29 different courses under hospitality management is just one of them. So Mr. Mukherjee is trying to make this particular domain stronger at SNU, Sister Nivedita University. And before I start on this session, let me give you an invitation to come and visit our campus after all the lockdown and all the pandemic things are over. We'll be privileged to have your presence there. We have heard a lot about you, not only from Mr. Mukherjee, but also from various different sources. Our students, our faculty members, and basically the general mass who's going to watch your program today would be privileged, I believe, to hear from you. They will gain a lot of knowledge from your experience. You'll be sharing your experiences, I'm sure. We are going live on this particular platform as well as on YouTube and our Facebook page. So you'll have quite a large audience. Mr. Mukherjee, I would request you to initiate the conversation with Mr. Singh. And now it's your domain. You are the best person to start and talk to him.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Bose. Thank you, Indrila, and thank you all for joining in. Mr. Singh, by the way, needs no introduction in the domain of hospitality. If there's one iconic person cutting across every single brand, and believe me when I say this, and it's not just because he was my boss. And he was not a boss, he was a friend, he was a leader. We never, even today, considered him as a manager. He was there for us at any point of time that we wished to access his help or access anything. Viewers, in times of managing properties, you do many things right and you don't do many things right. Now, when you don't do many things right, you may come across managers who may not also react rightly to you, but not so Mr. Singh. He would try to get into the depth of the situation, talk to you like a friend, an elder brother, and guide you to the mutual satisfaction of closure of the problem. That's Mr. Singh, and that's what we have a huge amount of respect. And believe me, it's not only Taj, where he served right from the beginning till the end of his tenure and more. He was on an extension and formed his own beautiful consulting company at this point of time, very successful one. We have a huge amount of respect for you, sir, and we have a lot of love which will go beyond times to come. So thank you so much for accepting this and within this situation. We'd like to talk about leadership, sir, because with you, what else can we talk? We are going through unprecedented times. Accepted, you have gone through unprecedented times many a times during your tenure of 40 years. You passed out from PUSA in 1976. That's a long time ago. You have seen, you've been there, done that to a large extent. Now, leadership during difficult times is what we'll talk about, and your experiential learnings from the past. We'll talk about 3-year assessments going forward, trends that will emerge, that will come across, housekeeping, food and beverage, with your complete knowledge and your thoughts overall. We'll talk about domestic versus international travel, we'll talk about stakeholders' concerns, because who better than you? You have worked with owners, absolutely almost leading properties for Taj, but behaving like an owner. We know that. It was you who were the real owner, actually, when you were managing those properties, those chunk of properties over there as the area directors. You really were the owner's rep. We'll talk about L&D strategy, communication strategies, HR strategy. Now, that's a difficult piece, so we'd like to hear something from you. And what are your thoughts What will you be doing in your consulting, and what would you have done if you were in Taj, let's say, managing the whole show, like you were the senior vice president for hotels worldwide? How would you make guests feel special, etc.? And these are all the things. But firstly, sir, without much ado, I'd like to hear about issues of leadership during difficult times, and experiential learnings from you, sir. Over to you.
Good evening, viewers. Can you hear me?
So yes, we
Okay.
can. The mics are muted.
Good evening, viewers. Thank you so much, Ms. Bose, Ms. Mukherjee, and especially my colleague, Sandip. Sandip and I have worked together. He was the director of operations of the luxury hotels of the Taj, and later on with us, and has held very, very important positions. Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction that you've given me. You're making me feeling very, very conceited. So I better come down to Mother Earth. I think you've said more than enough. But coming to this webinar, we used to have a lot of seminars. Nowadays on the web, we have this new latest thing called webinars. And I think it's a great experience. You get a chance to sit at one place and connect with people all over the world. Today, I've been told there are a lot of students and some hoteliers from different parts of the country and also different parts of the world. The most important, of course, thing is that learnings that we have got from this downturn and what is the road ahead. And I think we all know that COVID-19 has really been a pandemic which has shaken up, I think, the world and all the industries. India has had a lockdown for now fourth time. And this has majorly affected, of course, tourism, travel, and our hotel industry. But I think it's very, very important to know that we as leaders must realize that it is not the end of the world. I think there is no such thing that a lot of people are today. When I see these seminars, webinars, and I'm reading different reports, most of the people, unfortunately, are saying that this seems to be totally shaken up the industry. I do not know, it will take 2-3 years for you to come back on your feet. And this, according to me, causes a lot of concern, and more than concern is fine, but it causes fear. And I think it's very, very important for us, especially those who have been in the industry as leaders or as managers, to ensure that we do not spread fear, because my own personal reading is that this is not going to be something which will kill us and will never revive. It is a difficult time, and we all have to work towards making sure that we reduce the difficult times and come back to our feet as soon as possible. So there's a very old saying that I'm reminded that when the going, I'm reminded, it says that when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And this was said by Mr. Joseph Kennedy. Mr. Joseph Kennedy was the father of the ex-president, the former president, Mr. John Kennedy of the United States of America. And what a great saying he said, that it is during this time, during these difficult times, we see the tough, the strong leaders who get going. And they come up with strategies, they come up with motivating the staff, they come up with various plans so that they come back to their feet much faster than others. So before we start this, I think we're going to talk about leadership. And Sandip and I have had many times these discussions. And it is a favorite subject for me. I was hoping to, as Sandip mentioned, I was hoping that in my career I could leave an impression that I was not just a manager who was managing people, and as they say, 3 different things a manager can manage. He can only control. He can control time, he can control price, and he can control the product. But I thought I always wanted to be more than that. So to nicely explain that, we have a small video clip which we will start from there. And this is the video clip which I've shared with many, many people. It talks about a certain leadership style. I will get into the leadership styles a little later, but this is a leadership style without ego. So I would request that if the small clip can be shown, leadership without ego.
Sure. Ms. Bose, while we put it, Mr. Singh, thanks for that. And leadership with ego, viewers, and all those who have joined in, is what personifies.
Mr. Mukherjee, just a moment, please.
Yeah.
Himatri, are you doing it?
Just a minute, ma'am.
Okay.
So while you're at it, are we audible?
Yeah, you're audible, and you can continue while.
Sure. We'll catch up on our chat, our summertime fireside chat with Mr. Singh. Leadership without ego, viewers, is what personifies Mr. Singh. Let me tell you. So it's very important. He's forwarded that film to us also, and we've learned, we've seen. It's a very important film, and leadership during difficult times, particularly to my mind, calls for leadership without ego. What do you say, sir?
Absolutely. I think at any time, a leader, if you can have without ego, it is something which is a bliss. So I hope you like this film, and then we will discuss the same.
I hope the bandwidth and the internet connectivity actually supports it at this point of time, because Mr. Singh, after the Amphan, there has been a huge sort of destruction.
Designer. So I think the audio, it's not very clearly audible. Should I then just talk about it?
I would request all of you to mute your.
Sure. So we'll mute our microphone.
It's a request to all the participants also. If you please can mute your, keep your microphones on mute, then we can hear the audio.
Is because I met Bob Townsend in 1980. Some of you have heard of Bob Townsend, probably haven't. He was the CEO that built AS Red Bar, and he wrote a breakthrough book in the 1960s called Up the Organization. Up the Organization is still the #1 book at the Wharton Business School on the must-read list. That's 50 years of being #1. So I suggest you take a look at it. It's really a book about leadership, culture building without ego. Bob Townsend walked into my office in 1980, and he asked me if I had 15 minutes. I said, of course. He said, I'm interviewing the management team because I'm going to join the board of directors at this company, and I always want to speak with the management before I do. Oh, please come in and sit. I look at my watch, 15 minutes, not a problem. 5 hours later in my office, I was stunned. I had never been in the presence of that much energy. He told me about his book, Up the Organization. I hadn't heard of it. At 5 o'clock that night, I ran out to the nearest bookstore, and I got it. I read it from cover to cover that night. It changed my life. I had always had the same ideologies, the same thoughts about leading people. But his book gave me a structure, a framework that I could hang it on, and I used it as a guideline for the rest of my life, and I'm still using it. The same year, I was overlooked for a promotion to be the CEO of the company. I was in my 30s. I thought I was ready. The company didn't. Bob Townsend suggested that I further my education. That was a good idea. I said, well, maybe I'll go do an MBA. He says, no, never do an MBA. There's too many managers already. The world is short of leaders. We don't need any more managers. Managers, leadership, I thought they were the same. I would hear people say, I manage 6 people. I lead a team of 6 people. Must be the same. 32 years later, I'm here tonight to tell you it's not the same. Management is control. In business, we call it the triple constraint of management. There's three things, and only three things, that you can control. You can control quality, time, and money. Whichever one of those three takes precedent, the other two will suffer. If quality drives your organization or your product or your service, the other two will suffer. It takes more time and more money to create the quality. If price determines your product or service, then you will have to give up the quality and do it much cheaper. If time, you have to do it in time. To do it quickly, it will cost you more money, and the faster you go, the less quality you have. So control is management, the interplay of time, quality, and money. So where are people? Well, people are come under leadership. There's a big difference. In World War II, Dwight Eisenhower was the Allied supreme commander of all the forces. He would train his generals. He would take a chain and stack it up on the table. And then he would ask the generals, if I push that chain, which way will it go? And he would hear a lot of answers. The correct answer is, you really don't know. But he said that if I took the chain and I picked it up by the end and I pulled the chain, which way will it go? The answer is, it will follow you. And there is the essence of leadership. If you push the people down deep inside, you really do not know which way they'll go or which way what they're really thinking. But if you can lead them and get them to follow you, then you have a skill that everybody should have, is to be a leader. I went to China, lived there for 13 years. I was built a company, started with a handful of people, and we ended up with 8,000 people. We had to build a factory to house 8,000 people. On occasion, I would go to Guangzhou and walk around, and I have a technical background, so I felt I had a little bit of expertise in construction. And one monsoon afternoon, we're walking along by the foundation, and I look down in the ditch, and I see 5 or 6 men working, and they're installing a sewer pipe. And they had a level. And I'm looking down, and I see that they're making the pipes level. Well, I have enough technical background to know that a level pipe's not going to flow. And it's going to get buried under the foundation. So we're going to have lifetime problems. We'll never get to this to fix it. So I thought about telling them how to fix it, and I realized I didn't speak Chinese. So I took off my shoes, and I jumped in the trench. I know that a 1-inch pebble underneath one end of the level will be just about 2% grade. That's what we needed. So without saying a word, I grabbed the level, I took a rock, and I held it, and went back to pipes, and I raised it up, and I signaled for them to put some sand under the pipe, and we got it just right. And then I went to the next pipe, and I did it again, and then on the third pipe, I handed it to the men in the trench, and I had them hold the pebble under the level until I got it just right. Then I asked them to do one more, and they did. And then I got out of the bench, took my shoes, and went back to the hotel. That incident became viral in the company. I had no idea what was going to happen. But inside, I was realizing what Bob Townsend had told me. If I had pushed them, and I had yelled at them and told them what to do, I probably wouldn't know where they would go. But by grabbing the level and pulling them, showing them exactly what to do without saying a single word, in a totally different culture, they listened. That incident went through the whole company, and they realized that it was a symbol that I would jump in the trenches with them. The big boss would jump in the trenches in the mud and pulled them. I had no idea it was going to be powerful, but it really paid off. There are some great leaders that have pulled a lot of people. My favorite is Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi united two religions, ended a more than 100-year colonial empire by motivating the British to leave. He did so in a peaceful manner, and basically he just stopped eating. That's powerful. Power comes when the people that you are leading give you their support. When that support comes to you, I call that like power. They offer you the power, and then they watch you. If you take that power and you deflect all of it back to them, then they give you more. And then if you give more back to them, second wave, they give you even more. But if you start to take some of that power, they start giving you less. And those leaders that accept the power make a critical mistake. Because now the power that's going to come and give them more and more and more power falters and goes away. And I can point out many leaders around the world, even today, that are falling because they took the power. They didn't give it back to the people they were leading. Leadership is a gift. You can't buy it, you can't sell it, you can't trade it. You either have it or you don't. I went to a design school, and he said, you were accepted here because you have shown a lot of creativity. We can't teach you creativity. Well, that sounds like leadership. But if you have that skill set and you have that talent, what we're going to do is we're going to hone it. We're going to polish it. We're going to give you discipline so that you can apply your skill. And they did. Leadership is the most valuable commodity on the planet, and it is the rarest commodity we have. It's not food, it's not the lack of water, it's not oil or minerals, it's leadership. But it's not any form of leadership. It's the Townsonian model of doing it without ego. If you can follow the footsteps of Mahatma Gandhi, Ronald Reagan used to send his staff home at Christmas time so they could be with their families. He says, you don't know what to worry about. I mean, you guys go home and take care of yourself. He's putting everything back. You take a look at the Czechoslovakian leader that just died, Václav Havel. A simple man drove his same car, became the leader of the country. He took nothing. And he gave back to his country, made a peaceful conversion to democracy and freedom. That's leadership. Herb Kelleher was the CEO, founder of Southwest Airlines. He would go out and work 1 day a month handling baggage in the company. Used to spend 1 day a week renting out cars at the counter. You need to be in touch with the people you lead. You need to be in their shoes. So I just want to leave you with one thought. All of you here that are studying and going on to be managers and leaders, remember, if you have that skill set, to hone it and discipline it, because it is the rarest commodity in the planet and the world needs you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are we audible now? Andrila?
Mr. Mukherjee, Mr. Singh,
Yes, you're audible. Sir.
quality of the video was very poor, probably because of the connectivity issue. At all our places, connectivity is not stable at all. So
No problem, Ms. Bose. We'll take over from there. So
Yeah.
what I'll request, Mr. Singh, what I could gather from here and what I remembered, you had actually taken me through it also, this particular film. Leadership is a gift. Says you cannot buy it, you cannot sell it, you cannot trade it. Like to hear it from you, sir.
Yeah, so I think to some people it may not have been that audible, and you can always watch this very interesting on the TED Talk, Leadership Without Ego. But as Sandip rightly put it, what I realize is that this basic discussion goes on, that are leaders born or are they made? General Field Marshal Manekshaw said that they're not just born, it's a combination. You have that in you, but you can hone that skill. And I was very happy to see how Bob describes leadership to be a it's even a more difficult of an asset, most unique asset, sorry, not difficult, most unique asset, much more than anything else in the world. So I think it's very interesting. And he says it's the Townsonian way of leadership, which is leadership without ego. He says that management basically is a management of control. And there are three things that you can control. It's either the product, which means the quality, or the price, the product, the quality and price, and the time. There are the three things that you can control. And if you are trying to say that you would like to control the price, then automatically you will need more time, and your quality will also suffer. And if you want to really make best quality luxury hotel, then you need to spend more money and more time. But that's the management, I think, restrictions. Whereas who controls the people, who leads the people, who motivates the people, and this surely comes strongly by a good leader. So he talks about it, and then he talks about a leader who does things from his own hands. And he gives an example of himself, that in China, he has to just tell those people, and he doesn't speak the Chinese, so he has to tell them that it has to be 2 degrees above, and he puts a small stone, a pebble stone under the pipe so that the water can properly flow. And people loved that the managing director himself is doing it, and it became viral. So I remember in my olden days, Sandeep, and when we opened the Isfahan all-day diner restaurant in Taj Palace.
Taj Palace.
Yes. And we had to get this place ready. You know, we could not open it at the right time. So whole night we had to, clean up this flooring ourselves, get the place ready. And as soon as we opened, we started getting a lot of groups. And there were times the breakfast itself used to be something like 450 people. And it was a 200-seater, 225-seater restaurant. So we had to get this place ready immediately for the next service. And I remember I used to love this thing because that was the time we had the Operation Blue Star in Amritsar, at the Golden Temple. So I used to say, let's get the operation clearance done. And I used to personally go up with a trolley. All the guests had gone out. We had to get the restaurant ready for the second session. And I used to say, let's do operation clearance. And I used to start clearing all the tables and plates and cutlery. And all my staff used to come and tell me, sir, you don't do it. But of course, I kept on doing that with the people. And within 5 to 7 minutes, the whole restaurant used to be cleared and laid again. Some small acts like this make a big difference when you work with your people. When you do something with your own hand, the kind of support that you will get from your staff, your associates, your colleagues, is something which is unimaginable. So he talks about that. He talks about Mahatma Gandhi. He talks about Ronald Reagan, somebody who said to his own staff that if it is Christmas, you need to be with your family. You go be with your family. I'll take care of it. Now, these are some of the acts when you do, people get highly motivated and involved when they see a leader who is somebody who's giving in nature. It says that the power that you get from people, if you give it back to the people, they will only doubly give it back to you. The respect that you earn, I mean, it is so touching. I'm no more in a high position. I'm partly retired. But when I hear from people like Sandip, who has been one of the great, I would say, hoteliers. When I hear from some of my colleagues that they are going to join, Sandeep tells me some of my colleagues are going to join in today. Uh, it's a matter of great pride that you still see that people remember you when you go to those hotels and the staff come down and meet you and greet you. That naturally comes from a leader, especially when it's leadership without ego. So I think,
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I'll build on that. In fact, icons leave establishments. Legends stay back. You are a legend, sir, and there are stories that actually remain and etched in memories of people. You haven't told me this story, but this is a story about you. Let me share it with the viewers. There was a time that you lost a guest, and a very important guest. And I'm not exactly sure, was it Taj Bengal you were managing or was it in Hyderabad? You did call up the guest and you managed to go to the coffee shop, have a coffee with him in a rival hotel, and woo him back to your hotel. Is that correct, sir? That's a story that I've heard during my time, and that tells people about the customer centricity that a leader has. You get down to work with your own hands. So wonderful.
Sandeep, thank you so much. Sometimes, what happens is that some stories are also made, which I don't know.
Possibly.
I can't immediately.
A lot of the stories on Mr. Ratan Tata's going around in WhatsApp, which I'm sure are not true, and they've actually Bombay House has said that don't do that. But then that goes with icons. Now, the issue, sir, I would like you to address to us is you have gone through a lot of downturns. This downturn is unbelievably tumultuous. There's no doubt about it. None of us ever thought about this. But you have gone through Gulf War, you have gone through 9/11, and you have managed and you have actually strategized and you have helped owners and the company to get back. You went through tsunami. You were there in the thick of it during 26/11, the subprime crisis, the 2008-2009 meltdown. You have seen it all. So what were you thinking or doing at that point of time before we come to the present? And how did you shape back all of us, and what did you do so that we came back? And we came back pretty soon, actually, in most of these.
Yeah,
How was
so
that?
I think I shared a few of them. One I remember very clearly. The Taj took over Krishna Oberoi. So it's not exactly some of them what you mentioned, but I remember this time when we took over this hotel and we had to renovate the property in 9 months. So we came up with a very unique idea, and Anil Malhotra, my food and beverage manager, came up with this idea. And he said, when we totally broken the hotel, let's do a party with a renovation theme in mind. And we asked all our guests to come in dungarees, and the whole hotel was broken. And we invited them. We showed them how the renovation is going on in the night, and it was a great party. And
Trust Anil to do that, sir.
yeah, he was very creative with a lot of new ideas. And then in 9 months' time, we had to open the hotel, and the hotel's opening was happening with the CII partnership meet. It's a world over meet, and the CII does it once in a couple of years. And there were a couple of head of states coming in, and the launch of the hotel would have happened at the CII partnership. And Mr. Tarun Das came over to see the property. Unfortunately, I was not there at that time. I had gone to Jaipur for some work. And this was about 15 days before the inauguration of the CII partnership meet. And the place was according to him, when he saw it, it was in a mess. And he wrote to Mr. Krishna Kumar saying that the house of Tata has let me down. It's a matter of India's pride. We have Shimon Peres and many other head of states coming, and you will not be ready. And Mr. Krishna Kumar was absolutely, of course, upset. But I came in and I told Mr. Krishna Kumar, sir, I give you my word, we will be ready one day before. And he said, don't just give me all this, and I know it's not going to be ready. You have really let me down. And I said, sir, you just give me this time. And from that time onwards, all of us, the entire team, operation, project, owners, Mr. and Mrs. Reddy, we worked day and night. And one day before Tarun Das came in, and the porch was not ready when he'd seen, the roads were not ready, the lobby was not ready. But when he came in, he drove in from the main entrance, saw the porch, saw the lobby, and he just could not believe it. And he said, he hugged me and he said, Viru, all I can say is that you are a magician. So it was not me. As I said, it's not me. It's the team. I know the Taj team and all the people here will surely have done it. It's not, it is a matter of pride for us to say that when we want to do it, we hoteliers always achieve our targets. So that was one time I remember as a leader to work with them day and night, to get them excited, motivated, and to achieve something which was nearly impossible happened. So that was one great time. The second thing that I remember, of course, and as you talked about 9/11 and tsunami and SARS and many other things, one of the biggest thing I would say that happened to the Taj Group was, of course, 26/11. And how can we forget that? And as some of us have always said, that the Taj Mahal Mumbai has been our temple. It's been literally where we pray. The beautiful statue of Jamshedji Tata, the founder of Tata's, is there. And each and every one of us is so proud of it. And unfortunately, when the 26/11 happened and those terrorists entered into our hotel, and they terrorized the entire guest, they terribly, they tried to break the dome, they put bombs everywhere, they killed some of our guests, and it was so sad. But our staff stood so strongly, fought, and we had more guests, more than the guests, our staff gave their lives. And not only they could have easily ran out, but they stayed there till the last. And that was a great thing. But how we came back is what is very, very interesting. How Mr. Ratan Tata came there and supported each and every person who was affected, not only in the Taj, but in the entire city of Bombay, in BT, in the Oberois, wherever anybody was affected, they were taken care of. Staff were taken care of medically, financially, and morally. And during this time, when we were closed, Taj Mahal Mumbai was a hotel running for more than 100 years. They had not been able to do many works, because it was always open. It was 24/7, 365 days. But during this time, when the hotel was closed for 1 year, the Taj came up with all beautiful renovation and repair and maintenance, and pipes which could not be changed, hot and cold water pipes, fire extinguishers, all of that was done. And as we opened the hotel, we came up with some of the best renovation, rediscovering the Taj and bringing it back to its glory. Now, that was the time. It could only happen with the able leadership of Mr. Tata, Mr. Krishna Kumar, Mr. Raymond Dixon, and Karambir Khan, and many, many others who were there. And all the staff, how they could work so hard during this difficult time to come back. And then when we opened, everybody from head of states, from the President of the United States, to all wanted to come back and stay in the Taj. And there was a belief that there's a fear for customers to go to the Taj. All that wiped out. And people just came in large numbers. And the Taj came back to its glory. So it is leadership in such difficult times, as you were mentioning. I also want to just share, not something to do with the hotel, but I remember this great leader, Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore. Singapore, as a small island, in the 60s was moved out by Malaysia. And they said, we do not want you to be a part of us. You can move out. And the leader, Lee Kuan Yew, came in the night, spoke on the radio and cried and said, we will like to build this country back and make this one of the most unique countries in the world, and which is what they've done. So when you have great leadership, which is very clear, which is very loyal, which is dedicated, which is some of the qualities of the leader which we've been talking so long, but if the leader has those qualities of vision, courage, competence, decision-making, empathy, fairness, integrity, all these qualities, if you have them and you work sincerely, you can come up with wonders. So there have been many such things which have happened. I know the Taj, we had the tsunami. It affected us in Sri Lanka. It affected us in Chennai. So it has to be a strong leader who has the competence, has very bold, he can take very bold decisions, because sometimes leaders don't take bold decisions. But he can take those decisions, because all decisions, as you said, may not be always right. But you take some decisions and stick by it. Because according to me, to climb Mount Everest, you can go from Nepal, you could go from China, you could go from different routes. So the routes to achieve uh, excellence could be many. But once you take a decision that this is the route I'm taking, you should support the entire team and work towards it. A leader also takes the responsibility. He also takes the blame. And there's a wonderful film that is also available, and I don't want to show it now, but our late President Abdul Kalam, when he was launching the Satellite 3, he said that, unfortunately, just before the launch, the computer said that there is a flaw and don't launch the satellite. But as a leader, he had to take a decision. And his people told him that, don't worry, it's a problem with the fuel, but we have enough fuel. Go ahead and launch the satellite. And so he launched the satellite. And it took off. And in phase 2 or 3, it landed in Bay of Bengal. It was a failure. At that moment, Mr. Dhawan, who was the chairman of the atomic and the space for the government of India, he came there and he went to the press and he took the entire responsibility of the failure. A good leader has to take the responsibility of the failure, not just only when the things are good, but when the things are bad, he takes the responsibility. And they say that in the next 1 year, they again launched the Set 4, and it became a success. And Mr. Dhawan now asked Mr. Abdul Kalam to go again to the press, because it was now a good news. He made his team go and take the accolades and the credit. So a good leader has to do some of these things. And I think we are at this moment in a very critical situation, as you rightly said. And these situations will get over by good leadership, not just by good management. So I think the topic is very appropriate. And as time goes by, you are asking us that what are some of the things that we will learn? What are the different stakeholders? I think, Sandip, is that what you wanted to talk about? So, in my opinion, first and foremost, I think I would say that my own prediction, a lot of people don't want to give predictions. They say, how do we say it? Of course, how can we say? Nobody can say how long the lockdown will happen. But I used to always say that lockdown cannot happen more than 2 months, because the economy cannot take it. And now we already have seen that domestic airlines have begun. It's a matter of time. Hotels have to open. According to me, in the month of June, you will see the hotels opening again. And my own prediction is that human beings cannot just be told not to go out, not to meet anybody, just get locked. They cannot. The urge and the pleasure to go out and meet people, to see new places is so strong that I have a feeling that sometimes you may even bounce back very, very strongly. I feel in the month of June, July, you will start seeing some occupancies from 30 to 40%. And from August, September, you will start seeing that we will be coming back into 50% of occupancy in most of the hotels. In fact, my prediction is that if you are a hill resort, you will see the occupancies in the coming months even higher. And if you have a resort which is next to a metro city or a large city, you will see the occupancies in these places going higher, because people will prefer traveling by car. So overall, this year, of course, may not do same as last year. Most of the people are saying this year will be 50% of last year. But I don't think so. I feel that we will have a deficit of 15 to 30%. So if last year I did 100, if I am doing well, I'm fast, I have good leadership, I'm properly prepared, I'm prepared to be sleek and smart. I should be able to do 85%, 85, if not 100 as last year, or maximum go down to 70. But I don't think that it can be much worse. One of the reasons why I say that is we were lucky that this unfortunate pandemic happened to us in the worst months, which is April, May, June. For the hotel industry, April to September is the valley period. Is the business is low, and so during this time the effect has not been that strong. October to March is our peak period, and hopefully we'll come back. But of course, you will lose the international tourists because I don't think the international travel will start so fast, and those leisure groups which have got cancelled will not start so fast. But the good news again is that we used to get 8 to 10 million people coming to India, and out of them, 2 to 4 million are easily the non-resident Indians, or they are coming for MICE or corporate business. Leisure travel was not more than 4 million or 5 million. Here today, we have 30 million Indians who are traveling outside India. And you would know that, Sandip, because you were in a beautiful resort in Langkawi.
Right.
You know how many Indians used to come there and how popular it was. Today, when you can't do
Sorry, I think we lost Mr. Singh.
Hello, Mr. Singh.
I think he got disconnected.
Now, let me try and call him up. So
Yes.
I think just to
He can again click that same link and rejoin.
sure, I'll tell him that. Yeah.
Viewers, please bear with us till then.
This seems to be some sort of a.
Yeah. Okay. You have logged out, so you can click on the link and get back again. No problem. You click on it and get back. In the meantime, I'll continue and I'll just summarize your thoughts. Thank you. I think his laptop has given me. In the meantime, there should be what Mr. Singh was basically talking about is, mitigation of fear. There's no need to fear, and hotels and hospitality, and I'm sure many other industries as well, will come back. He's talking about a valley period between April and September. It's actually the lean season for hospitality at this point of time. And therefore, he says that it's in a way lucky for hotel owners and hotel operators that this huge, unfortunate pandemic hit during this point of time. But hopefully by the end of the year or by next year, possibly things may actually scale back. And he's talking about also resorts probably being the choice of destination rather than city hotels immediately to start with. But my own personal feel is, and if I could debate with my boss on that, is that of course there will be travel in cities also, but they will need to do a lot of work ahead to give comfort to customers on safety. Because while we say that we should mitigate fear, there's a whole lot of companies who are doing a lot of things. For instance, just to tell you, Hilton has tied up with Mayo Clinic in USA. ITC has tied up as for NAB or hospital level certifications, and the type of audits and inspections that these people are carrying out, because what's happening is the level of comfort needs to be given to the incoming customers, incoming guests, saying that yes, we are completely on top of the game. We understand where we need to keep our places safe, clean, hygienic, so that you can come and contract your work by living with us, by staying with us. Having said that, we should have one participant here, Oindrila, Miss Sneha Gote, Sneha is, of course, not Miss Sneha Gote now. She's Mrs. Sneha Sharma. She's married recently, so congratulations. She's the front office manager for the Taj in Malaysia, recently transferred. And she's passed through Malaysia, which is a COVID zone also declared, containment zone some areas. She stayed in a containment hotel. She came in through an airport, international. She came in and she was quarantined in Taj Dwarka, which is a containment hotel again, in that sense, for about almost 10, 12 days. So we'd like to hear from her
Absolutely.
experiential journey, if she can be unmuted and if she's around. That is
Yes.
Sneha Sharma.
Miss
Sneha Gote.
Good
Sneha
evening,
Sharma.
sir. Good evening, everyone. Thank you
Hi,
so much
hi,
for
Sneha,
giving
how
me
are
the
you? Good to
opportunity.
see you. Welcome back to India after 5 years
Thank
in
you so
Malaysia.
Thank you
Welcome,
so
Sneha. Welcome to this webinar.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my experience.
Yeah, we would
Sneha,
love
just
to
to
hear what
introduce
is.
you to viewers, Sneha is a woman manager, a woman leader, not a manager. Sorry to say that. She's worked with multicultural team members and she's been one of the finest front office managers that we have had. And she's a toughie. So when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. She's one of that. Sneha, all over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. So everyone, I would just like to share my experience, how I got stuck in Langkawi for more than 45 days, then my travel from Langkawi to Kuala Lumpur, and from Kuala Lumpur to Delhi, and from Delhi to Chandigarh, Mohali, where I'm currently. So, as you everybody knows that I'm associated with IHCL, Indian Hotels and Company, from more than 10 years, and I was posted and deputed in, there is a property called Vivanda Langkawi Rabak Island in Langkawi, Malaysia. So I was on work permit, and the work permit was got over in March, and I was supposed to fly back on 22nd of March. But however, because of the unprecedented situation, and there was the government of India has announced the lockdown, all the international flights got cancelled. So there was no there was no hope, there was no possibilities to come back to India. So somehow then I was in touch with the Indian High Commissioner in Kuala Lumpur, and they were in continuous touch with me. So we have to so then they had asked us to register ourselves. So and then once there will be any hope and if there is any flight, they will update us. So it was almost 45 days I got locked up in Langkawi, and on uh, the, sorry, sorry, I think Mr. Vijay Singh is back.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. So in the month of May, around 6th of May, I got a call from Indian High Commission, and they told me that there is going to be a repatriation flight, which has been organized by the Indian government. And as I was in Langkawi, and there were no flights flying to Kuala Lumpur, and there was the only few flights for there was only one flight on certain days was available. So they had asked me to come and stay in Kuala Lumpur, and when there will be a flight, so I can take the first flight to come back to India. So I had reached Kuala Lumpur on 6th of May, and the same day I came to know that there is no flight for another next week. So I got stuck there as well. So I was staying in a budget hotel called Tune Hotel. It's near to the airport, and I was staying there for almost 8 days. It was a very difficult situation because I cannot express in a feeling because I was locked up in a small 27 centimeter room, and food was not so food was not great, and I was all alone. But however, I managed to face that 8 days of period, and then Indian High Commission has managed to organize a flight on 14th of May. So I'm very thankful for the to the Indian High Commissioner the Excellency who was in touch with me, and he was very helpful in registering myself and giving me preference to fly on that flight, because as these are all repatriation flights, so they have given a preference to the pregnant women ladies. the old elderly age people, whoever is, if somebody is having any symptoms, like if they have any symptoms in the sense like if they are not well or something like that, so they should go back to their, because they've been stuck for more than like 2 months over there. They were near about 4,000 people got stranded in Malaysia, and they've been staying, and they've, like, everybody wanted to go home. So I'm thankful to Indian High Commission. They have put me into that flight and given me a preference to fly. So on 14th of May, so we took a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Delhi. It was via Hyderabad. So and all the arrangement was done by the embassy. They were there, and they were helping us. They had also made a arrangement for food and all everything. So we have reached there around, as the flight was on 15th, they had asked us to come in the morning because there were a lot many preparations happening. So almost the entire day we were at the airport. They have provided with us with the food and the water. Uh, Also, they have, once we reached the airport, they have done the screening, the full body double check was done. Uh, because as the rule, it was mentioned that if anybody is having any symptoms, they are not allowed to fly. So they have done our thermal screening at the airport, and they have also given a letter, the medical checkup, letter, sign off, and after that all the normal check-in was normal procedures was done, and we boarded the flight around 8 7 o'clock, and we took off around 8:30. We reached Hyderabad around 10 p.m., and then from 10 p.m. Indian time, and after that we again took off, flew to Delhi, and we reached Delhi around 3 a.m. So once we reached at the Delhi airport, so we were again, before I would like to go back. Once when we boarded the flight, all the cabin crew and all the government officials were wearing the hazmat to protect. Also, we have been given also we have been given the face shield to wear. Also, the mask was compulsory to wear in the aircraft all the time. There were no entertainment was provided in the aircraft, and all they have given a packed food which was kept in our seat. So this was the arrangement was made by the government of India. Once we reach Delhi airport, we were again screened. They have taken up temperature, and then we have been taken into 2020 batches so that we can maintain the social distancing. And every point they have made the sitting arrangement like 2020 so that we don't have to wait for a very long time, because as we've been traveling all day, so they considering that they have made the proper arrangement. So once we finish our screening at the airport, they have taken us to the next stage. That time they have checked our passport, and they have asked us to fill up again the registration form where we have to mention where we need to travel, and then from there they have segregated us as per the state and the city. And then after that, they had requested us to download the Arogya Setu app, which is a mandatory right now, so that you can maintain the government can track and you can check your health. Then after that, they have been taking us uh, the, next, the normal checkup. Over there they have checked our temperature again, and also they had shared a list with us for all the institutional quarantine facility centers. There were two options: either you can go to the government institutional quarantine center, or you can go to the any hotel which is listed over there. So as Vivanta Dwarka was listed on that, and also I'm a Taj employee, I prefer to go to Vivanta Dwarka. And while there were a lot of counters, like every hotel and every counters were there, and they were all government officials who were sitting there. They had taken our passport, they have taken down all our details, and according to the hotels and according to the centers, they have segregated us, and they had they had arranged the Delhi public transport to drop us to the individual hotels. And then after that, so all the arrangement and all the process was done by the government officials. There was no other hotelier or no other centers or any company was included. So then after that, it took almost 3 hours for us to complete all this process, and we left airport around 5:30, and then we reached Vimanata Dwarka around 6 p.m. We were as they were maintaining a social distancing. We have to carry our own baggages, so that I mean we have to carry our own baggages.
Were your baggages sanitized also?
At the airport, no.
No, at the hotel.
No. Once we reach the hotel, we have been asked we have to carry our own baggages, and we have taken our baggage aside. So that time the hotel representative, the people at the security, they have disinfected our baggages completely thoroughly, and then they have taken our temperature, and then we entered the hotel, and then after that we have completed our check-in formalities, and check-in formality was also very quick. The registration card as well as the self-declaration form was given to us, and it was a very express check-in, and they have made a certain arrangement. They have also maintained the social distancing. They have put the labelings like where to stand and all. All the staff, example the security staff who was disinfecting our baggages, who was wearing a hazmat suits, and he's also keeping a distance while checking the temperature. Also the reception staff who were wearing the mask as well as the face shield. And also every counter the sanitizer was kept, so that every time whenever you go and you touch anything, you can sanitize yourself. And
so you stayed for almost 10 days at Taj Dwarka, am I right?
Yes, yes, I was there for 10 days. It was a compulsory.
So could you tell us something about the housekeeping protocols that happened while you were there? Because see, we are a high touch, high contact people. Sneha, who knows it better than you? You're a front office leader. You're the front office manager. So from now to no contact, sort of a situation, how does it work in hotels now? What did they do?
So as it was a quarantine center, so because most of the people were traveling from internationally, so it was social distancing and all this norms was very important. So when we were in the hotel, we were not allowed to go outside the room. So every room there was a small table was kept outside the room. So any service was supposed to be given, like food delivery, like there was a fixed timing for breakfast, lunch and dinner, any laundry delivery, or if you are ordering anything. So they used to come, they used to keep all the stuff on that table, and they used to ring us the bell, and they used to inform us. However, in case if you would like to clean the room, so they have made the room cleaning used to be done in every 3 days.
All right. So after every 72 hours, complete cleaning of the room.
Yes. Every 3 days they used to clean our room, and while they were cleaning our room, we have to step out of our room and we have to stand in the corridor.
Okay.
Yes.
Any particular disinfectant or step up of chemicals or fumigants or anything that you witnessed at this point of time happening?
As we were outside the room, so we don't know. I'm not sure about the chemicals, but as I know that they've been using, we have got a lot of chemicals list from the Diversity. So all the Taj hotels are using all the chemicals which are advised.
So they would have found the protocol by now to get ahead and take up extra precautions for that.
Yes.
Anything in particular that you saw? Because normally you're always, given a welcome letter, you're given a fruit platter, you're given, made to feel welcome when you go to hotels. Where did you see sort of these sort of things being cut back, not for the sake of cutting costs, but for the sake of maintaining lesser contacts? Did you see anything like that?
Well, I would say, yes, there was a less contact, but however, as a Taj ISCL, we've been given a welcome letter with all the information. We have been given a fruit basket so that we can eat healthy food during our quarantine time so that we can be healthy. And every time, every alternate days, they used to give us snacks in the evening so that we should feel fresh. And whenever, if there is anything, every time a duty manager or any reception staff would call and ask on our health, and they also used to give, like, they used to call, and they used to give us a courtesy call.
Okay, wonderful. So after 10 days, you're back home, you're back to Mohali, you're enjoying yourself, recuperating and waiting for the challenge of a new normal, because now it's not going to be same exactly as what it was
Absolutely.
before.
Absolutely.
So wonderful, Sneha, wonderful having you over here, and thank you so much for sparing time. So ladies
Thank
and
you so
gentlemen,
much.
Vande
Mr. Singh has
Bharat
also
Republic
joined.
Party. Mr. Singh has joined. Wonderful, sir. We'll pick up from where you left. Sneha, thank you again. Thanks a lot for joining in.
Thank you, Ms. Sharma. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Mr. Singh, you're there, sir? Do we have Mr. Singh?
Yes, he's here. He's
I think he's muted his mic.
Himadri, is he there? He was here just a few seconds before. Hello. Himadri?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Can anybody see Mr. Singh?
No.
Yes, he's there.
No,
he's there.
he's
I can
not
see him.
visible.
Yes, he's visible. I saw him.
Okay.
Mr. Singh, can you? Hello? Mr. Singh, can you see us? Yes, I can see him.
you.
Mr. Singh, would you please?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Singh. We can hear you.
Okay.
Sir,
Okay, Sandip, sorry about this.
we'll go ahead. We lost contact. We got in Sneha actually, so we were asking her to give her the Vande Bharat sort of a rundown on how the government of India, the embassy, everyone else, officials at airports, Malaysia, India, and Taj in particular. And now that she has to go back to the new normal because she has to now reinvent her own work zone based on the new policies. So, sir, typically.
So
we talk about high touch and high contact always, right, sir, as hoteliers.
Yes.
And now we are talking about no touch and low contact. So how do we, how do we, with social distancing and mask on, how can we make guests feel special? How is that possible to your mind, sir?
Okay, so I think, Sandeep, first and foremost, I want to apologize. I'm in Udaipur and I'm using my nephew's laptop, and I think the software upgrade started, so the whole thing went off. Coming back to your question, how do we really make up for this situation where we are not going to be too much in touch with people? I think first and foremost, this people today are highly well informed, and I want to give our compliments to our Honorable Prime Minister, who's an extremely good orator and communicator. And for a large country, 1.3 billion people, he has been able to communicate to the lowest levels of economic setup, of people from who are working on daily wages to the richest man. He's been able to communicate very clearly the issues and the concerns of this pandemic. So I think people today are realizing that the biggest important thing today is safety. And hotels immediately who are going to send this message that we are a safe hotel, we are very concerned about COVID-19, we are following all the set norms of social distancing, we are having the best housekeeping and hygiene standards. Those who communicate this are the ones which will be attracting customers first. And at this moment, as you asked me, how do we work? I think the guest is also not looking at a lot of interaction with the staff. They are also themselves. Today, we are not looking like that for even our relatives. When we meet people, we are saying namaskar, we are not trying to shake hands, we are wanting to maintain distance. So I think at this particular moment, the initial period of say 3 to 6 months, the most important thing will be safety, hygiene, and standards which are going to be giving this, very, very clear directions to the customer that this is a safe property and I'm going to be safe here. So from the time that all the staff who are coming here are properly checked, there's some kind of certification, they're checked in when they're coming in, they're checked while they're working, when they're checked when they're going out, to the customers whom we are checking. If you are taking care of all these things, these are far more important, I would think, than going on guest relations and escorting customers and interacting with them in the restaurants. I think that is now becoming not the new normal is to basically maintain the social distance and give them
Absolutely. Absolutely. So wonderful. Very, very, very well and lucidly explained. So just one question before we throw it open to people from the audience for their questions is, you said that we should be mitigating fear and we should get back to what we know best, that is hotels. However, there's going to be a whole lot of people in the hospitality industry, hotels, staff, etc., who would be fearing a lot of issues in terms of the retention of their jobs. I mean, without sweeping anything under the carpet. Suppose, hypothetically speaking, you were the HR head and you were, of course, the senior VP hospitality, and you would have hotels, you would have been in that situation. What would have been some of the HR strategies that you would have taken in this particular period to give that level of comfort to our employees?
So,
if I may say.
It's a very good question, but I would request you to allow me to just talk for 3 minutes on what I was trying to say initially, that how would each stakeholder today, what are some of the things that they all have to do? So I'll just take 3 minutes, not more than that. I'll speak a little faster. The first thing is the owners. And I think a lot of owners need to be given the confidence, because a lot of them are very shaky just now. So they need to now be having patience and confidence in this industry that yes, it will come back. Otherwise, a lot of owners are very shaky. They will change management contracts. They will change their plans. But what they need to really do is make a proper plan for their financial management. They should make sure that they don't have large loan and that repayments are properly done. If they had any large plans for renovation and making new properties, they need to reconsider them and realize that cash is gone. You need to ensure that you are being able to make some results. Coming to staff, which you asked me, I think today the staff has to be given the confidence. Each and every leader and the vice president HR or HR managers or personal managers need to really give this confidence to the people. I think overall, we have been quite well, and most of the staff, even during their absence, has been given salaries, or at least 50 to 75% of the salaries. So that has been, I think, a good gesture, which has been done on the pretext of the Prime Minister's direction to us. But what the staff need to understand today is that earlier days, the youngsters, the millennials, had this system of hop, step, and jump their jobs. I think this needs to be very carefully done now. Jobs are not going to be extremely easy. And if you're working in good organizations, you're working with good people, you're safe. And that's important. But this is not the time for you to just take it easy and do hop, step, and jump. That's number one. Number two, a time has come for the youngsters to realize that they need to start saving money. In your time and my time, I think it was a done thing that you had at least 15, 20% of whatever savings you could do. Today, people are living on credits. We're getting very westernized like the Americans used to do. We need to be very careful that there has to be some saving of money. You need to also learned that jobs which are people who can do 2 or 3 different jobs are going to be the preferred ones. So even for HR, they need to immediately have training programs and relook at the entire working, job descriptions of people. The more multi-skilling that you do, there was a time we used to say that we need to be specialized, and a person who does tandoori food does not have to learn any other thing. He has to be expert in tandoor. Or if you're a halwai, you have to be only halwai. I think that time is changing. Whenever I remember, there were great Indian restaurants and we used to send some staff from India. The first thing they said, can you do anything other than just halwai? Can you also cook some curry? Can you also do some biryanis? So I think multi-scaling is going to be important. You should not be looking at only working in the reception. Can you do housekeeping? Can you do food and beverage service also? So multi-skilling is going to be important. So HR managers and HR and training managers need to see that we start taking this. And yes, it is going to be a time in the first 3 to 6 months or maybe a year, the survival of the fittest is going to be there. Some of the organizations may reduce the number of people they have because payroll and salaries is going to be extremely high. It's already 25 to 30% of your total revenues. People are going to cut down staff, especially those who are non-performing. So performance is going to be very, very important. And I think as an HR manager, my aim would be to tell these things very clearly to the staff. Firstly, don't be fearful. Secondly, must learn multi-skilling, and so let's have some programs. Thirdly, look at savings. And fourthly, don't try and be doing hop, step, and jump. This is an extremely difficult time for people to get jobs, and I think we need to be very careful. The other thing, of course, is every staff member who now comes will have to go through some kind of a certification to prove his clearance and being negative of COVID-19. So that kind of a thing, we'll have to be careful. We do not wish to have somebody with COVID positive coming into work and then unfortunately spreading it to his colleagues or the other guests. So there have to be organizations. We need to have medical doctors, experts who will give us some certification or check our staff regularly. Temperatures must be taken every day, daily, maybe 3 times in a day when a staff enters, while he's working in the middle of the day and while he leaves, and these records must be maintained. Any symptoms, if there are there, needs to be observed and action needs to be taken. A lot of training has to be given to the staff for social distance maintaining, and cleanliness and hygiene and housekeeping is going to be of utmost importance. We've had ISO 22000, we've had HACCP, we've had FSSAI giving us very clear directions. Now the new one has come for COVID-19. They need to be followed in terms of housekeeping, hygiene, and even seeing that the food that is prepared is of that standard, properly maintained, so that there are no chances of any virus spreading through food. Various things like service of buffets may really become a matter of concern. And if there is a buffet, then you'll have to have one of your staff members serving them rather than different people handling those chefing dishes. Restaurants need to have space between them. So a lot of this training, I think training is going to be extremely important for HR managers and L&D managers to give it to take it forward with the staff.
Brilliantly said, sir. So cash is king. No hop, step, and jump. I remember this hop, step, and jump when I was posted to Pune after my chat with you from Bombay after the 2611. You had come in and you were reviewing, and I had told you that there were certain staff who are planning to leave and jump, and you were visibly a little upset, saying that how can you allow your staff to go, and where are they going? I said BPO. He said, what will happen in a BPO? Explain to them and tell them, they're going to come back to you after some time. Do not leave anyone. So the better of the lot is going to stay. The non-performers, you talked about them. Multi-skilling, very big point. You touched upon that. It's not going to be just one area that one specializes, or this is my domain that people say. No more of that. survival of the fittest, and certifications. Wonderful, sir. Can we open the floor for some questions at this point of time with your permission, if this is okay?
Absolutely, all right.
Indrila, are
Yes,
there any questions?
Yes, there are questions. We have few questions in the chat box. Well, on the topic of hiring and there's one question by Saurav Sen. What are the chances of freshers being absorbed in the industry since the employees are being fired? So, what is the reason freshers? What are the chances of freshers being absorbed in the industry post this?
My response is that catering college students, graduates who are aspiring to be hoteliers and looking forward to jobs, need to know that yes, the situation is going to be tough, and as I said, it's survival of the fittest. So even amongst yourself, it's not that jobs will be very, very easy, but it's not to be worried. Hotels always have about 20 to 30% people who they want to be young, who bring in fresh blood, bring in a lot of new enthusiasm, creativity, innovation. Young people have that. So always there are positions which are there for management trainees, industrial trainees, supervisors. So don't worry about that. They will have them. A hotel, if it has 100 staff, will have some executives, departmental heads, some supervisors, but will always look for foot soldiers, will look for captains to come in. So that will remain. Yes, it's going to be tough. You need to ensure that you have the requisites that are required in a hotelier. You are somebody who's willing to go ahead and realize that the hotel industry has its strengths and weaknesses. There are going to be long hours. There are going to be working on Christmas, New Year's, Diwali, Holi. There have to be new trends like multi-skilling, which is going to be very important. I used to meet a lot of people from the catering college who would say that I only want to be doing sales and marketing. I meet sometimes, I tell them, how many people are there in sales and marketing in a hotel? 2, 3, 4. How many people can become immediately a sales executive? And normally people we are preferring are MBAs or fresh graduates or people with experience. A lot of people come to me and say, I want to be in the PR. A hotel doesn't have more than one person in the PR. Sometimes guest relations or sales and marketing or front office executives could do the same job. So all these different designations that we had earlier, and we had aspirations of only doing one job, I think that must change. But to the youngsters, I would suggest, please start immediately looking at multi-skilling yourself. And so if it is, I remember a time when we had Mr. Ramesh Johar, who was general manager of Taj Mahal Delhi. One day he just came and said, all the front office people will go to food and beverage, and food and beverage people will go to front office, and so on and so forth. And there was a group of something about 25 young leaders who were all transferred and moved around like this. And today you'll be surprised, all those 24, 25 people are doing so well in their careers. A lot of them are abroad, a lot of them are in America, a lot of them, whoever stayed with Taj, grew to be in the highest positions. So I think the time has come for youngsters to realize that just specialization is not the only thing. One has to be doing a lot of multi-skilling. So be prepared for all this, and I think job opportunities will be there. Don't worry about that. There are a lot of new hotels coming up. They will require staff. In India, you always said at the hotel that we felt that there was lack of good talent. So I think if you are from a good college, you have the talent, don't have to worry about it. There will be jobs for you.
Wonderful, sir. Very, very reassuring and motivating. Any other questions?
Yes. We have a couple of questions actually. How do you see in the next 1 year businesses for luxury hotels like Taj Mahal, Taj Mumbai, I guess, Oberoi, and Leela?
So luxury hotels have already been saying that they do not want to get into a price war situation. What I see a good future, of course, for the time being, an easy, immediate growth will be in the resorts. As I mentioned earlier, hill resorts will start doing very well in this summer. People want to go out and start, having a break. Resorts which are near the cities, like metro cities, will start doing better. The luxury hotels will comparatively be the last who really pick up. They do realize that their occupancies will go down. International tourists and international travelers will be much lesser. However, from October to March, they may have something like, I would say, 30 to 50% lesser occupancies than what they were doing. But they are trying to see that they don't drop on the ARRs, the average room rates. Also, you must realize that with this situation, some of our costs are also going to go up because there will be a capex infusion. You will require thermometers, scanners, a lot of
chemicals,
sanitizer. Yeah, so
fumigants, yeah.
Yeah, so some of these cost will go up. So I think it's not so easy for us to really cut down cost in luxury hotels. So they will try and do the ARRs, maintaining them. So asking me how are the luxury hotels going to be faring, I would think yes, they will be the ones which will suffer. But from October, I start seeing things will improve. But it is for the 3-star and 4-star hotels which will benefit and do better in this difficult times.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Angela, any more questions?
What will become of the travel post-COVID? Uponita de Jammu.
What would be the channel?
Travel conditions.
Travel. What would be
Will
the
hotel
travel?
guests return? Yeah.
When would the guests return, you feel? Well, sorry, I didn't understand the question.
What will be the travel
pattern sort of thing? What will be the travel pattern after this COVID? Right. I think Mr. Singh answered that in a sense.
Yes.
So yeah, the travel pattern, in my opinion, is that the domestic tourist has a lot more. It's a large, low-hanging fruits. They are there. They are available with us. They won't be traveling internationally so much. So we must attack and we must aim at getting the domestic tourists, which will start. You will have airlines and buses and trains starting, and let's attract them. The international tourism and international travel will take a little longer time. We are seeing some amount of it picking up. China has started showing some growth, and other countries are already having plans. A lot of virtual tours. They are attracting customers. But it will be, in the initial stages, a little a matter of safety and concern and fear, but it will pick up. This season, which is October to March, my judgment is that the international tourism will be very less. But from next year onwards, one will start seeing some signs of improvements to come.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Angela?
Thank you, sir. Yes. Deeptiman, he's asking a future of learning and development and L&D professionals, especially in hotels, post this pandemic.
I have said some of it, but I think this question is best answered by Sandip, because he is somebody who's been a very passionate teacher, a professor, and so I would leave this Sandip to answer this question, please.
Fine, sir. Thank you. I'll take that. Deeptiman, the future of L&D is not a short-term future; it's a long-term future. There are huge amount of new learnings which are coming in, which many of us in hospitality are not aware at this point of time, and it will remain and rest on the shoulders of L&D, like Mr. Singh rightly pointed out. It's not going to be just a single ownership, single department, single domain work at this point of time. There'll be multi-skilling. Now, who's going to take it forward? It's going to be the L&D person. So the L&D person is one of the key person who's going to mantle the show at this point of time, along with probably the executive housekeeper. The executive housekeeper takes front seat. Please remember that at this point of time, with a whole lot of hygiene and safety issues coming in. L&D hosts and posts a very, very important phase of their careers at this point of time. In brief, I'll say that.
And if I can just add to that, we had unfortunately the 9/11 and 26/11, and we saw that the entire focus went to security, and people were sent to Israel, they were sent to different parts of the world. So L&D managers also will get this opportunity to try and see how they can improve housekeeping, hygiene, and come up with these SOPs. And further to which, a lot of audits will start. And I think Sandip had mentioned that
Yes.
what you will look at, I think the future will be that there will be great number of audits, which of course L&D can surely take them out, where they will see that your HACCP standards or ISO 22000, FSSAI standards, and cleanliness and hygiene standards, and COVID audits, which are SOPs, are followed. So L&D, I think, is going to play a very important role.
Right. Thanks for the question, Diptiman. Very important question.
So we have one more question. This is the last question. Rajneesh Shukla. As academicians, what we can do, should do, as trust building for prospective students to keep their interest in hospitality as a career option.
So I think, as I've mentioned, I feel that we as leaders have to really, once again, I'm surprised by some people are so scared about it. I'm giving you very clearly a message that you will see good improvement in this industry in the next 3 to 6 months. So this fear that we have, that hotel industry is not going to be any more lucrative for careers, there are not going to be great opportunities, jobs will not be available, people will start cutting number of people. I think it's a wrong fear. Every business is cyclic, and the hotel industry in India has seen a great number of years, wonderful occupancies, good ARR. Don't get too worried about it. Things will improve. You will see occupancies. I'm telling you, occupancies in the next 3 months will start coming to 50%. By October, you'll start seeing some good occupancies. So I don't think that there's much to worry about. For youngsters, for catering college students, for people who are passing out, please give them this confidence, and there will be opportunity. You will. I can tell you today that I run some hotels. I do not have very senior positions at the moment. My food and beverage manager, front office manager, some positions, the general manager is vacant. I need good, fresh people. I'm sure large organizations, which we have so many of them in India, in multinationals, in Taj and all, will surely look forward to young people. So don't get worried. As you pass your hotel management degrees, there will be jobs. But yes, please brush up yourself, sharpen your skills, see that you can do multi-skilling. So I think as professors and people who are teaching, try and immediately see that this multi-skilling is encouraged in the next 1 or 2 months, and people are prepared for this as they go to the industry.
Wonderful, sir. And may I also just add in a little bit, sir? Your own institute, we used to call it the Institute of Catering Technology and Applied Nutrition, ICTAN, those days, the IHMs now. Last year, PUSA registered 100% jobs for all its students. However, just about 50% chose to join hotels. So it's not only about hotels, it's about banking, retail, hospitality is huge, hospitals, etc., etc. It's airlines, travel. So don't worry about that, Professor Shukla. Like Mr. Singh said, the confidence needs to be given by us. And at this point of time, I'm an academic, so I'll need to do that also. I take that into stride.
Very well said. Very well said. I remember when my son was studying in Lausanne in Switzerland, I met the principal, and he told me that only 50 to 20% students are going to hotel industry. So what
My
Sandeep said is
God.
all of them have great opportunities. They've got great different industries there. In fact, he told me that you as hotelier need to see how are you going to attract people, good students to come to you. So the situation was opposite. So don't worry, there are great opportunities. There are many jobs. Let's continue to motivate our young students, boys and girls, to join this industry, which is, I think, a beautiful industry. No day is the same, and there's great opportunities for all.
Absolutely. So, if there are no questions, I would like to place my immense thanks. And Mr. Singh, it's been wonderful meeting you virtually. I wish this lockdown and this pandemic ceases and we meet face to face. And as Ms. Bose had said, please do come in and enlighten us with your views whenever you are in Kolkata and on our behest. Please do that, sir. Wonderful, wonderful meeting you. Ms. Bose, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee. Thank you, Mr. Singh. It was really an engaging evening, not only for the students and the faculties who had participated, but it was for me and my team too. It was really a different world. You and even Sneha opened a totally different world to us. Thank you, Mr. Singh. Look forward to meeting you in person sometime in the near future, hopefully. Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee.
Thank you.
Sir, I can only say Khamagadi and Padharo Maro Gharsa whenever you can.
Very kind of you, Sandeep. Thank you so much, Sandeep, for being so warm, hospitable, friendly, always. And thank you so much to Ms. Bose and Ms. Mukherjee. And it's a great
Yeah.
opportunity for my computer going off for a little while. But
No,
I
not
think for me also, there were so many learnings. And I really appreciate being a part of this webinar and look forward to coming personally to your university and college.
Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome, sir. So we have passed 1 hour 40 minutes, Mr. Mukherjee. We just didn't notice it.
That's the power of Mrs. Singh. I told you, the icon and the legend.
Right.
Thank you so much. Thanks, participants. Good night,
Thank
sir.
you.
Good night, ma'am. Good night,
Good night.
all administrators. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye.